Welcome back to another episode of Eagles Weekly. Here are your hosts, Brett, Haas, Mac, and Jack. How we feeling, fellas?
All right. We got episode 26, Eagles Weekly. It's Mac and Jack show, part 2. We're here to talk about a good amount of football, some basketball, and to wrap up the lacrosse and baseball fiasco. But here with my buddy Jack. How we doing, Jack?
Good, Mac. Looking forward to another Mac and Jack episode.
Yeah.
The guys that show up, the lunch pail guys.
Exactly.
Let's talk some ball.
Let's start things off with some football. I know there's been a little bit, we were off, a week and a half, so just wanted to give a few updates on recruiting. Bill O'Brien's still building that monster like we've always talked about. Really, again, building that wall, not only around Massachusetts, but around New England. I mean, he's really got multiple top recruits from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, even in New York and the Jersey area and everything like that. And so exciting stuff about that. We had a recent commit last week, Tex Vaughn. Wanted to talk a little bit about him. He's a tight end, great metrics and incredible offer sheet. He got offers from South Carolina, I think Vanderbilt, like Duke, Louisville. So, other programs. You're seeing this across the board with a lot of Bill O'Brien's recruits where as he was going after some of these recruits, a lot of, people are looking at this, like, why are they going after these guys? And then later down the line, as they start committing, starting to make decisions later in the year right now, you're seeing all these other schools jump in. So again, it's more confirmation on Bill O'Brien and company's evaluation, but a huge get by the football program.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a beast. I mean, he's 6'6", 230 at the tight end position. I mean, that's good size. He's listed, I think he's a 3-star, but he seems like a higher end kind of 3-star, which we like. The class of 26 is looking good. Last I checked, I think they were like 18th and 19th rated in the country for the class of 2026.
Yeah, the class right now, I think it was ESPN came out last week. Their top 20 recruiting class. So that was cool to see. I think another rating had them. I think the 247 has them as a top 20 class. And I know other media folks have talked about this where, there's potential for this class to be a top 30 class. I think that. I know there's so much. I know among fans, and I've seen the group chats and everything. Like, there's a lot of hesitation here, I think rightly so, some skepticism. We've talked about this previously. We've seen this before. We get a top 25 class. Hafley did this, and then later down, once all the other big schools get the recruits in, we're like a 40, 50 type class. But this seems very different. And as much as we've had 3-stars before, these 3-stars are all rating significantly better, I should say. Like those point differentials, like from an 86 to an 88, 89, which are the 3-stars that we're getting right now, are a big difference in rating. And so you're right on the line with a lot of these guys. And some of the commits we already have might become 4-stars based on what they're doing in camps and what other evaluations are coming in. So I don't know. For me, I think this could be a definitely potential top 30 class, one of the better classes we've ever had. And the exciting thing right now is that you have official visits happening the next couple of weeks. And you have a lot of these guys that, are 3-4-star recruits, some recruits that we haven't ever seen, commit here on a consistent basis. And for Bill O'Brien to kind of bring these guys, it's going to be an exciting couple of weeks to see if any commit early over the next coming weeks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a bit hesitant to call this different than, or not that I don't think it's different, but I mean, we had 12 3-stars, 1 4-star, and we're hovering around Louisville, Syracuse. So I kind of think when those 4 or 5-stars commit, we could see a little bit of a bump. But I mean, I think the more positive, the positive thing that I'm looking at is the like the New England Wall thing, where it's becoming it's become a thing to commit to BC.
Yeah.
Which is more of what I take away from this recruiting class, more so than like the whatever their ratings are, or whatever. Just because people like I don't know, halfly talked about it, but like see like O'Brien actually making like the New England Wall thing, where we have 6 of the 8 top Massachusetts recruits for that class or whatever it is. Like that's super positive direction. So I think I think the 25 class, like the incoming class, will have some good gets there. But I think 26 of them will start to see or hopefully start to see the the Bill O'Brien effect that we've been talking about for 18 months or 16 months now, whatever it is. But yeah, it's what, May, so we're in the off season for a long time. So we got all we can talk about is these 16-year-old kids recruiting.
I know, right?
But yeah,
I understand it. I feel like from a fan perspective, it's tough to like really get too ahead of ourselves because we're just speculating right now. And I'm
Googling these names as they come up. That's what we're doing here. Or that's what I'm doing here. Not what we're doing here. But
I think the hope is like we can stay. Like obviously, there's going to be some drop off. Like obviously, the bigger name schools, like
they'll get those late.
The blue bloods, they're going to get those late things and they're going to move up. But I think the hope is if people are ranking around 2025, and I know that's so early and people are like, why are we even looking at that stuff? But you at least look at it being like, okay, you have a good base and you're hoping that they don't fall off too much and that we can be, when you look at the ACC rankings, be in that top half. And that's, I think, the big thing. Yeah.
No, I agree. I saw there's chatter about the Carter Gooden D lineman.
He's a big one.
He's not coming to BC, but he's been strongly linked. Part of that 26 class. I think he's ranked 68th or something in the nation, which is I don't know. BC, we never get fucking top 100 guys, do we? I don't remember.
We have one recruit right now that's in the top 250, which is like we haven't had that in a while. So like to get a second one and to potentially get one in the top 100 would be like, one of the higher recruits we've ever had since we've been basically evaluating this stuff. So Good would be a huge get. That's the one where if you get a 4-star like that, that's where you actually can. That's when it becomes realistic to be talking about, hey, top 25 or a top 30 recruiting class. So, like if you get him or maybe some other, like other recruit here, another 4-star, because there's a few 4-stars that are visiting the next couple of weeks. So again, we're going to be, take that with a grain of salt. Like most likely you're not going to be hearing these announcements until maybe even like mid-August, some of these guys. But I think the goal would be if you're able a lot of these recruits are also taking official visits other places down like other schools after BC. Your hope is that if you can really, really land some of these guys before, then they end up, not going, visiting, taking official visits other places and actually getting an early commit. So that's where you're kind of looking out for BC fans to look out for the next couple of weeks is if BC can land a couple guys each week, from the official visits, because this is the big stuff, like getting them to actually come, paying for them to get in the big SUVs and come and visit this campus and really ball out and show them, Boston. That's what, at least from my perspective, I think Bill O'Brien has a better understanding of all that sort of stuff than our previous coaches.
Yeah, Matt, can you speak a little bit more based on what like what the official visit situation is like in like May and summer? Like, is that like a hotbed? Because I know like for spring practices, you talked about how they're like lined around the practice field, all these recruits, all these families, whatever. Is that as much of a thing in the summer or not so much?
So it's not as much in the summer. Based on what I saw last year, there's some recruits for sure, but I think because, in the spring, at least this year, was significant recruits. Like I'm talking like hundreds of people on the sidelines every practice. And I think for Bill O'Brien's strategy is that let's get as many people in the building and part of this, thing that I'm building as soon as possible, because you do then have official visits right now scheduled for like those, big recruits that you're really trying to land. But then also, some of these kids are like you said, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
You come around, you're really just trying to get, them into and start, nurturing those relationships for the future. So that's what a lot of that is. And I guess for the bigger perspective here is Bill O'Brien, the same reason he canceled the spring game is that it's such a more intimate, if you go to these spring practices, it's such a more intimate situation where you actually get to talk to the coaches. I mean, the coaches are right there. You're trying to move out of the way. Like they're literally practicing and catching footballs and running into you. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to get hit. So it's like a very intimate thing for these high schoolers to like get that attention, not only from the players and the parents, but for the coaches and the players and starting those relationships. So I think that's the key thing. And you're already seeing that, I think, with what, especially with what Bill O'Brien's been able to do in Massachusetts and in New England is like really start to reform those relationships with the high school coaches and the people he's been able to bring in, all of his coaches. Again, I think that's the key thing because we fell away from that a little bit with Halfley. Adacio did honestly a pretty good job like with those relationships, but I think with Bill, you got the name. Everyone in New England knows Bill O'Brien's name, and I think that with all the high school coaches, you're starting to build those relationships where you didn't see before in previous head coaches.
Yeah, I mean, I would love when you come on here and talk about how every practice you go to, like the hundreds of kids, families going around.
It's awesome to see. You literally can't find a place to like move. Like me, Kevin, me and Kevin Stone will literally just we'll go to the end zones because that's the corner of the end zone because that's mostly where no one is. But like the whole sidelines, you're like 3 rows back of people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Not to be like cynical, I just thought of this now, but like I do wonder.
It's good to be cynical, Jack.
When's so Bill O'Brien left the Texans in 2021 or something? It's like 4 years ago. So I do wonder like how much the actual Bill O'Brien name means to like a 16-year-old kid who was 12 years old the last time that happened versus how much of it is, Bill making way more of an effort to get the BC name out there than I do wonder like if he goes up to like these kids and
that's
Massachusetts, like they'll say, "Oh, like this is Bill O'Brien." Like that name might not mean much, but like I don't know, these kids will look it up, be like, "Oh, Bill O'Brien, he coached the NFL, he coached Penn State, he coached Tom Brady." Like, so I wonder like what that name value is versus like I don't know. I'm talking off the dome here.
No, you're right. I think
you know what I'm saying? Like these kids were so young, they didn't like watch Bill O'Brien like coach the Pats or the Texans, but like I wonder how much that name still like resonates with people.
Yeah, no, I think I'm biased as a Pats fan because obviously watched him coach Tom Brady, and like the success he had there, and then I think like obviously if you're a lot of these high schoolers that are football fans, they can at least remember him when he was with Saban and Alabama. And then he that short span and with Ryan Day, even though he wasn't actual coach.
Like the 4 days or.
I haven't got word on if he gets a ring from last year or not, but I'm still figuring that one out.
Ryan Day's a BC guy. He should toss his bone.
Technically coached that team, the national championship team last year. But I think for the bigger thing, like I was saying, the people that do remember are the people that are fully ingrained in the high school recruiting landscape in Massachusetts, and that is like all the coaches. So all these like old school coaches that have been, in most of these programs in Massachusetts that are the blue blood, programs in Massachusetts have been coaching there for like 20 plus years. All these guys have good relationships, or at least are well known of Bill O'Brien's career. So I think that's step number one because ultimately that's going to be the first introduction to a lot of these kids. I mean, Bill O'Brien's not like going direct to these kids at first. They're talking to the coaches. They're trying to figure out, every year who should I be looking at. And again, I think that's the bigger thing, specifically in, the New England area is, again, developing those relationships, strong relationships with those high school coaches at these top tier programs, and then kind of going from there. So I think that's where the advantage is. But I see where the skepticism comes. Like most kids that are probably 15 years or younger are like, yeah, what? Bill O'Brien? I mean, yeah.
No, but it's the kind of thing where like you get a letter from Bill O'Brien, you look up his name and you say, oh, he's 30 years of college professional coaching experience. But I don't know, should we should we move on from the 15, 16-year-olds to the 19, 20, 21-year-olds that are
let's
playing for BC?
let's definitely move on to that, my
Yeah.
friend. I did you want to like quickly? I usually write an article every year, which is like the way too early predictions of the BC football schedule. I didn't know if you wanted to dive into that real quick.
Yeah, let me pull the schedule. We could
I'll pull it up on
do
the.
what's it, 3 months out predictions.
Yeah. 1 second. Let me see if I can pull that up right here.
All right.
Let's see, image file. But yeah, I don't know. When you look at this, I think the other thing that dropped this week, right? And we talk about the first 3 games, Jack.
Yeah.
That we actually got announcements. Can you just shoot out the info on that, because I think you have it as on the first 3 games.
Oh yeah. So I don't know who released it today. Someone within the ACC, I think. But the first 3 kickoff times are announced. So for Fordham, it's 2 p.m. At Alumni. Michigan State, 7:30 Eastern, I think, at Michigan State. Stanford is 10:30 Eastern. So a little late night West Coast football action at Stanford. But
Michigan State National is on ESPN, or is it ACC?
NBC. Michigan State's NBC. So that's
awesome. Prime
time Saturday night. Yeah, that'd be
and
good.
Then you got
the nightcap
after dark.
Stanford.
BC after dark. Yeah. I've been saying for Stanford.
No, that'll be fun. It'll be like I can picture now, like it's Saturday night, like people are out. I'm out at a bar and like it's 1:30. I'm like, oh, BC, they're driving down the field. They're hopefully.
I love the after dark games. That's why I was so mad when the Pac-12 got dismantled, because
those are the best. Like
I love those late night games, and the Pac-12 always got crazy. So again, with this BC Stanford matchup, it might be, who knows? It could be a crazy game like that. I'm actually planning on trying to go to that Stanford game.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully I can get some more good content for you guys, for you fans. But
that'd be awesome.
Those first 2 games, though, let's talk about those, because they're honestly really the thing that I think most fans have been talking about is those first 5 games, because you look into going into that Clemson game on October 11th. What's that record going to be? What are we gonna like? I know people are trying to be like, I think we can go 5-0, but let's like kind of dive into what do you think is realistic?
Dude, it's like I swear I've said this to myself every year for the past 6 years. Like, let's just be 5-0 going to Clemson, or let's be 7-1 going to Clemson. We'll have college game day. Like, we can do it, and then we start 1-2 or 2-4 or whatever. But I mean, with this schedule, like Fordham, 2 p.m. at Alumni. I think that's a win.
I mean, that's
Stanford and Cal. I mean, I know it's. I mean, we have a bye in between there, so it's Stanford's the 13th, Cal's the 27th, and they're both out west. So it's basically 2 separate West Coast trips, which is, it could be tough travel on like a team that's not used to that. But I feel like BC should be able to handle business for both of those games. What I'm most worried about is the at Michigan State game, because I feel like that really sets the tone for how the season's going to be.
I think we agree on that.
Because I mean, Michigan State,
5 games, Michigan State's the toughest matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how good Pitt's can. I don't think Pitt's gonna be that good.
Not gonna be better than last year.
Even if they're not, even if they're like similar to Michigan State, I think Michigan State is way more important just because of where it is in the season.
Yep.
Because I mean, Michigan State, they came into Alumni and they lost that game. Like, I feel like BC didn't really win it.
Their quarterback made mistakes, but
and they had like a true freshman quarterback in Aiden Childs who was very physically gifted, made a ton of mistakes, and I have no idea how much outside their quarterback that they're bringing back. But I mean, if they bring back any semblance of that team, then I'd be kind of worried, like shifting from home to away. I mean, we're down Izaraku, we're down Cam Arnold, we're down a bunch of running backs. So, I mean, they're probably looking at BC, they're being like, oh, they lost all these guys on defense. So, I mean, I am hesitant. Like, starting 2-0 or starting 1-1 is such a huge difference, especially with those next 3 games that are all probably BC should win, like Stanford, Cal, Pitt. So, I mean, I think that Michigan State is a huge, like, inflection point for the season.
I agree with the Michigan State thing, because I think I kind of look at this, and when you're looking at the Michigan State game, I'm super excited for fans because it's going to be a primetime game, on national television. And this really is the season opener, folks. Like Fordham, to be honest, they're not even good in the level that they are in, which is like, D1. So Fordham is going to be an automatic win. To be honest, I don't even know if Lonergan is going to play that much or whoever starts, if it's Grayson James. Like the chances, the only most exciting thing about Fordham is that you might see Shaker Rising, which is a guy I've been talking about all day long.
Yeah.
That you might get significant playing time out of him. So that's an automatic win. Your first game is Michigan State, and you're really seeing this might be the first start for the starter too, whether it's Grayson James or Lonergan.
Do you think they'll wait till? Do you think they won't make that decision before Fordham?
No, I think they'll make the decision way before, but it's going to be the first like legitimate game for.
Oh yeah, I see. I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whether it's Lonergan or Grayson, like this is the first real test them at QB1. And when you look at Michigan State on the road, if you win that game, you start to realistically say, "Hey, we could be 5-0 going to Clemson." That's why that game's so significant because you go further beyond that. Stanford, I know it's a road game across the country, but that program is an utter flux right now.
Dude, they have. I think I saw something like they return like 11 receiving yards or something from their receiving.
Everyone's gone,
room.
And I think the coach is like, "I'm going to only be here for a little bit long." Like it's a disaster. And then you come back home to California.
Yeah, Cal doesn't have a running back.
The thing
they lost all 5 running backs.
Cal is maybe even more of a disaster. I mean, the West Coast teams, the ACC, are in like, real trouble right now. And the nice thing about Cal is you get a bye week, and then you go into Cal at home.
Yeah.
And again, Cal lost their quarterback. They have a lot of people leaving, and their coach is on the hot seat too. And and also they have troubles internally. So apparently their AD is trying to run things over their head coach, and it's a disaster. So I don't even want to get into that. But your next biggest test then becomes Pittsburgh. So like, say you do pull off the Michigan State thing, you're going into Pitt, and it seems to me that team's not going to be any better than the team last year, which we beat. So you have a realistic chance at going 5-0 if you beat Michigan State, which is why I think I agree with that statement that is the biggest game. That's the game you want to circle at the front of the schedule.
What do you think is more likely? Do you think it's more likely to go 5-0, or do you think it's more likely to go 3-2, losing to Michigan State, losing to Pitt?
Oh man, I mean, I want to say
sorry to put you on the spot like this, but
I would say I want to say it's more likely to go 5-0, but that Michigan, it's almost like 50-50 though, Jack. Like that Michigan State game is going to be tough. I mean, let's not forget, like it's on the road. It's going to be prime time, incredible atmosphere at Michigan State. People look at the tickets now because that might be a game, as fans, you really want to go to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a tough one. And again, you have this young quarterback that we already watched play that came to our house on Red Bandana night they had chances to win that game multiple times.
They probably should have won that game.
Right. Yeah. So you're looking at that, and this might be a more talented team and a team that's been a little bit more, under an organization longer. I think you're looking at this like, okay, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. But so I don't know, 50-50. I will lean with the Eagles, but that's just being a homer.
Yeah, I have a feeling that whoever cares or talks about Michigan State football probably feels better about the BC game than we do about that game, if I had to guess. Because I mean, they're probably thinking
they're probably thinking,
we almost beat them at their house last year with Childs as a freshman, and now he's got another year, and they're coming to our house. So I'm a bit iffy
Michigan
there.
State fans will look at that game and they say, if we don't beat them, like that's a shame. That's a shameful thing for our.
No, yeah, I think you're right.
Because you go home and home. If they go 0-2 in a home and home with BC, they're looking at like, what's wrong with this program right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Versus we're going into it like, hey, it's a coin toss, but if we win this, maybe we're going 5-0.
Yeah.
And have ESPN primetime game against Clemson. I don't know.
Yeah. I think realistically, if we want to talk about predictions, at least for this first half. I think realistically, you should get one of Michigan State and Pitt. It's really bad if you go 0-2 there. And the more I think I made my predictions like I made some prediction like in February, January, and I had a splitting Stanford and Cal, and I just knew nothing about them. I just kind of assumed like, oh, there's a West Coast trip and
last year I would have said the same thing.
But I mean, just looking not from what I've heard about both these teams, like it's a fucking shame if we drop one of those games, even going to Palo Alto. So I think 4-1 is probably the expected value of those first 5 games.
Like that's the median, like 4-1.
That should be the median outcome. Yeah,
that should be what happens. But you're looking at this like most likely we're either going like 5-0 or 3-2, to be honest, because like if we can't like win on the road, then you're looking at Pitt like that's
because that is true. Like,
but you're like
that's what I meant with Michigan State. I said Michigan State's like a big inflection point. Whereas like if we win there, it's kind of like a springboard past Stanford and Cal, and then you take Pitt. If you lose that game, then I don't know. It's not good for momentum.
I think we agree with the base though. Fordham, Stanford, Cal are like must wins. Like you got to win those games. Stanford and Cal. I thought a year ago, man, those are going to be tough matchups, but they have like 2 of the worst off seasons I've ever seen. So like you got to win those 3 games, and then you're looking at toss up at Pitt, and maybe you're a little bit of an underdog against Michigan State, and so that seems like 4-1 you're happy with for sure going into
and then
it gets
then the next 5 weeks you got Clemson, Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU. So you got 3 college football playoff teams, one against probably the best returning quarterback in the country, right? In Klubnik.
They're a playoff team. They're going to be in the playoffs. I'm calling that now. So
that October 11th to November 8th, that 4-week stretch is going to be tough.
Yeah, Clemson's going to be your toughest matchup. I think the biggest reason for BC fans, and maybe this is us trying to get ahead of ourselves in a I guess like a hedging way, is if you don't go 5-0, going 7-5 is tough. Getting that 7,
I mean, you could very well lose all 4 of. I mean, if I had to put money on it, I'd say we go 0-4 against Clemson, Louisville, Notre Dame. I don't know about SMU. I'll say we go 0-3 against Clemson, Louisville, Notre Dame, most likely.
I think it definitely goes Clemson's your hardest matchup. Notre Dame's your second hardest matchup. I might go Louisville just because I like the matchup against SMU. We've seen it the last 2 years.
I kind of actually agree with that.
So like those 3 games, I'm kind of putting at probably losses. And then you're hoping you beat SMU, and you're hoping you beat UConn, which is like not a sleeper team at all. So
they're like a real team.
That's more of a toss-up game than people are imagining right now. So you got to beat UConn, you got to beat SMU, or you got to beat Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Again, Georgia Tech, actually, you know what? Georgia Tech might be tougher than Louisville. I totally forgot about them. Georgia Tech has one of the better quarterbacks in college football with Haynes, and I think
Haynes King is still their quarterback.
Am I wrong on that? Is he not coming back?
No, I have no idea. I didn't think he had it. I kind of just assumed that. I have no idea if he is or not. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
If Haynes King is coming back, which I thought he was, that's going to be maybe the 3rd or 4th worst matchup. So now after saying that, Jack,
he's coming back. He's coming back.
Yeah, if you're going, say you go 4-1 into Clemson, you got to beat UConn. You got to beat Syracuse. That at least gets you to bowl eligibility. But then you're looking at Clemson, Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, and Georgia Tech. Those are tough.
That's really tough.
Our 7th win comes at SMU, if I'm looking at it realistically. SMU, because of the matchup, we're right there in the game last year, and because we beat them in the Fenway Bowl the year before. I know that's like whatever; those are totally different games.
No, but last year we were away and like nearly.
Last year on the road and had a chance to beat them. I think people forget this. Like we had the ball with under 3 minutes left with a chance to win that game.
Fresh off a quarterback switch too.
Exactly.
That last game, because before that, Grayson started against, or he came in against Syracuse and threw 6 passes. I think SMU was his first like real start aside from Western Kentucky. But I mean, I don't really care about that. No, so I actually, I feel kind of all right about SMU at home.
Same. That's the one of the playoff teams that people talk about. That's the one game that I think we have the best chance. And
Yeah, I just so much rather have the Notre Dame game.
I'd rather beat any of the other ones. It would be like 10 times better.
Yeah.
If you beat Notre Dame or Clemson, I mean that's like a program changing win.
I think I'd rather go 6-6 and beat Notre Dame than go 8. Actually, I don't know. That's true. Actually, I was gonna say I'd rather go 6-6 with a win over Notre Dame than 8-4 with a loss.
That's a legit question though.
That's
because like we haven't done both of those things in like 2 decades. Get 8 wins or beat Notre Dame, right? So
no, but I think realistically 8-4 would be better. But beating Notre Dame would just feel so good. But yeah, and that's Syracuse. Hey, Syracuse. I mean, that's away. I mean, I think BC is a better team than Syracuse, but I mean, I'm not chalking that up by any means.
I will say, going over this right now with you, Jack, the schedule looks way harder than I thought.
Yeah, like knowing what we know now, but like, yeah.
Because you like you said, you look at those last 3 games and you're like, oh, you could be SMU and you could play against Georgia Tech and you should beat Syracuse. You could lose all 3 of those games easily.
Yeah, and the 4 games before that have 3 playoff teams from last year. So
right.
Yeah, so we'll do a deeper dive on this with one.
Yeah, we just wanted to briefly go over that with you, everyone.
But tough schedule, holy shit, it's looking tough.
I think you had earlier said 7-5, and that kind of looks that I would be happy with 7-5. I think we said the exact.
Well, it's like what you said. If we don't go 5-0, 7-5 will be pretty daunting.
Yeah.
So awesome. Should we
we're moving on.
Talk some hoops.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit of hoops. You know, the funny thing, Jack, as to just transition into hoops, I saw your like tweet about like there's talk about moving to like a 76 team field for the March Madness. Is that?
Yeah,
I
I sent a tweet out because it was about Charlie Baker, and I sent a tweet out. It was like what was it? It was a GIF that says like, oh, it was from Inglourious Bastards when Brad Pitt is like. He like points to the Nazis like, hey, shoot that guy. And I tweeted it and I was like, under my real name that might not fly. But yeah, I would hate that. I would hate an expansion.
Why are they expanding it? It's like it'll make BC look even worse when we can't make that too. So
yeah, and when we do make that, it'll be like, oh, we made a handicaps tournament.
No, it's supposed to mean something. It's supposed to hurt when you're the 65th or whatever 67th team out because like. It should be good teams not making it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, but. I mean, I think if it turns into 76 teams, that's just going to be like the entire SEC is going to make it. The entire Big Ten is going to make it, and it's just like you shouldn't make it. You shouldn't go 4-14 in your conference and make a tournament. Like I don't care how good your conference is. Like that just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
Yeah, so I'd hate
all money. That's all big money crap, which I hate.
Yeah, and he said it might happen as soon as next tournament. So, yeah.
Well, you already saw it before we just transitioned into basketball. On the same note, you saw that college football just said that the top 4 conferences no longer get the top 4 seeds. It's just going to be the top 4 ranked. So that's different because obviously there's some movement there, and then there's significant talks about moving into 14 or 16 teams. So again, that's where we're at right now.
It seems they've changed the format of the playoffs so many times. It's like almost like it loses meaning. Like there's no history to it at all. I mean the playoff itself is only 15 years old, 14 years old.
I still remember the BCS rankings and it's the top 2 teams play. Like it's great.
No, but I understand the whole reseeding because I mean you saw this past year the final 4 teams were like the 5th or 8th seeded teams.
And I'm not against. I don't think I would be against 16 teams in the college football playoff, but it's like it does seem just we can't get anything consistent or right in college football.
No, and like people they just have to understand like there's not going to be a perfect solution that makes everybody happy.
No.
Like you're either gonna you're gonna have Boise State as a 3 seed that gets blown out by they didn't get blown out, but they losing
Right.
Penn
And
State.
people are going to overreact. You have one result, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, we should have done this," and it's like,
yeah, I think like the way it shook out this year in the first year of this format with Boise State being that third seed and getting a home game. I think if that happened, if it happened where like the first 4 or 5 years of this format were, I don't know, like power, like SEC Big Ten teams.
yeah,
I think if you got one time where it was like, oh, Boise State, that's a fun thing. Like that's the chaos that allows for this. But since it was the first year, people just like wanted to change it so much. When I really don't think they had to, but I do understand why they did ultimately.
The thing that I'm just the most concerned about is the SEC and Big Ten came out like trying to push the 16-team playoff, but then their solution was that the SEC and Big Ten get 4 automatic bids, the ACC get 2 automatic bids, Pac-12 gets 2, or the Big 12 gets 2, and then all the rest are at large. So that's like you're saying that different power conferences get more at like automatic bids than others. It's such a money grab thing. And
I did kind of like the idea of it this year of the 14, like every conference winner plus the best G5 winner.
I think what we have it right now makes the most sense. I mean, I think you could expand it to 16 teams if you wanted to, but like I think the conference winner.
No, winning your conference should mean something.
Yeah, winning your conference should be the only automatic bid. The rest should be at large, to be honest. But
yeah, you see, Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, had some quote where he's like, "Oh, I got people in my room asking me why are we even still in the NCAA? Like, then freaking leave, dude. Like,
yeah, okay, it's like
it's so like
it's crazy,
narcissistic, and it just speaks to how like it's turning into the SEC and Big Ten, like the Power 2, and it's just like those teams, those conferences, like they get better. Sure, they're probably they have the best.
But that's not good for the sport or for anything. Like you're like leaving all these other historic programs behind. And then the bigger thing that they don't understand is it's not all about football too. Like look how much it's affected basketball and how like pretty much every SEC team got in, and that's all football money. Like let's not pretend that like the SEC was like the Blue Dogs of college basketball. So it's just kind of like right now. But.
Yeah, and it just if you put so much weight in the SEC and they just all the teams if they're not even good, they just beat up on each other, then you're gonna have a bunch of 2-3 lost teams that maybe they're not that good, but because they're playing the SEC, they're gonna be.
They'll make the argument a 6-6 football team in the SEC should make it based on strength of schedule, and it's like, come on, what are we doing? Like,
yeah. All right, good rant. Do you want to talk about the schedule this year, the home and away opponents?
Yeah. Let's look at that, my friend. I know the big news was that we're gonna be playing UConn, but not playing UConn, so that's fun.
Yeah, you know what? I read that tweet. I saw it, I think 2 minutes after Rothstein tweeted it. I got so excited to say something about it. I didn't realize it was an exhibition. I thought I thought they were announcing a non-conference game on like November 13th or whatever. But now it's an exhibition, which is fine.
I saw all the hype and I was like, oh sweet, we're playing UConn finally, and then it's not a real game. So I'm like,
I mean, it's fine. That loss won't go on our record, but at least we can go to that game or presumably watch that game rather than
go to the game, and it won't be a loss because it would be 2 losses. Let's be honest. And,
I mean, it'll be a good chance for people to see what this year's team is going to look like. Because in past years they've had these weird secret scrimmages against Seton Hall where nobody can see at all. So there's always rumors about apparently Prince of League Bay dropped 18-7 in a scrimmage. Like who?
No, it's a good move. It's a good move from the athletic department, and also like BC fans can go watch.
No, I mean I'll be going.
One of the best women's basketball teams, UConn women as well. So
yeah, dude, I think it's underrated how the men's team will probably lose. The women's team is going to get washed, I think.
Yeah, that'll be like a 30-point loss or 40-point loss because I watch the UConn women's team. My mom's like a big UConn's Women Huskies like fan, and that program is like one of the best programs in college sports. And even just like good teams that they played last year, they beat by like 30, 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the men's game could be something like 83-68 or like a 10-15 win. The women might lose 95-45. Like, no offense to our women, but just speaking to the UConn women's program. So yeah, but more so, I wanted to talk a bit about BC just released their home opponents, their away opponents.
Yeah, what sticks out to you, Jack, on the home?
Well, the first thing I saw was the away opponents: Duke, Clemson, Louisville. Oh, not Louisville. I thought we had Louisville in there. No, we do have Louisville. We do have Louisville.
We're not playing UNC this year, right?
We're not playing UNC. So our home slate is Cal, Miami, Pitt, Notre Dame, Stanford. A bunch of there's no game on the schedule that is gonna set. I don't think there's gonna be a sellout this year. Maybe for Syracuse, but there's not gonna be I mean, none of these. Yeah, there's no Duke, no UNC.
Yep.
No Clemson, no Louisville. From a fan perspective, it kind of stinks, but I think it does open the door for you're going to be able to have the opportunity to win a lot of home basketball games against the schedule, against this
I like
middle tier ACC, which I think could be a good thing. I mean, for the people that do go and do actually care, you're going to have a lot of winnable games. It just sucks you won't be able to see, Duke come to town or UNC come to town.
Yeah. I feel that was really cool for the fans last year to see Duke, and obviously it was super hyped with Cooper here. But I think having chances to win these games, after seeing the schedule now, though, Jack, do you think the predictions for ACC wins go up a little significantly, or?
I had no prediction at all. They also changed the schedule, so instead of 20 conference games, you play 18.
So it's less games. Right.
Yeah. See, and the only team we play twice is Miami. So I think we play Miami twice. 16 teams we play once, and then UNC we don't play. So I mean, it's more spread out. The schedule, we don't have a lot of. We don't play teams twice like we did past couple of years.
Do you have a good gauge on the other teams in the ACC, Jack? Which ones have improved? Did Miami get any better than last year?
I think by default they're going to be better this year. I mean, they sucked last year. Duke is going to be probably. I think Duke will be slightly worse than last year, but last year's team was a Final Four team. Probably could have won a national championship.
Right.
I think Louisville. They kind of came onto the scene last year. I think they're going to continue to be pretty good. Notre Dame, I'm pretty high on the direction of their program under Micah.
Yeah, they had a good year.
I think they've kind of overtaken BC in the bottom of the ACC standings. I don't have a great gauge on the rest of these teams, honestly. We played Notre Dame twice. I misspoke. We played Miami twice. We played Notre Dame twice.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. I don't have a great gauge, but just based on the schedule, I feel better about winning couple more home games maybe, because I feel like I'm not penciling in any road wins in the ACC. I mean, realistically. So I mean, just by default, I kind of penciling in maybe we win an extra game or two at home. So we'll see. I think we'll learn a lot about the team during the UConn exhibition, what they're going to play like, what they're going to look like the kind of we keep talking about, the athletes that they have on the team between Jason Asamoah and Chase Forte and Aiden Shaw, these transfers they brought in that, are not the typical BC basketball player, which I think, allows us to stay in contention, stay competitive with these ACC teams more so than last year's team, which is just hopelessly outmatched every game. So I am, I'd say I'm more bullish than the average fan on this team. And I think if they went 6-12, 7-11 this year, I wouldn't be completely surprised, honestly. I'm not saying that's my prediction officially, but I mean,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I think that's very much in play. So, I mean, I typed out the depth chart here. I mean, just our starters are between Chase Forte, studded South Dakota, Fred Payne.
Our starting five has gotten better.
Yeah, Fred Payne was he came on last year as a freshman, redshirt freshman. Donald Hand, I think, is going to be an all ACC caliber guard. Mm-hmm. And then you have, Jason Asamoah, who's a big wing, couldn't crack the rotation, had a very good Baylor team. And then Jaden Hastings, who, is probably going to be the best athlete on the floor in the majority of these games. So I think, and then your bench, you have Luka Tay is going to be a sophomore, showed flashes. I'm not super high on him, but and then you got two freshman guards between Caleb Seeger and Akbar Wahid, two really big guards, strong guards, kind of cut from the Donald handcloth. I think one of the two of them is going to really pop off this year and probably compete for the starting spot with Fred Payne. And then you had the kid from Butler, Bowden Katke. I think he's going to compete for a starting role. He's 6'11", 250. He's really, he's like he's kind of a moose. He's a huge guy, James Connick type. So I think the starting five is going to be good. We'll see what the depth looks like, but I think like they're a 7-win season, 7 ACC win season is certainly in the cards, and I don't know, who knows, they might surprise everyone and be 500.
I think the biggest upside for me would be if their defense can significantly improve, because you bring in like someone like Chase Forte, who we had on the podcast last week.
Yeah. And he basically told us, like, I don't really care about scoring. I just want to D up.
Exactly.
Which I think we will need him to score. Sorry, right. Chase. I know you're defense first guy, but we're gonna need 12 points a game from you. I agree with Mac. I think defense was sorely lacking last year. But I think that they have the length, the athleticism to improve in that regard. I was looking at this year's roster compared to last year's roster, and last year's roster only had 4 guys above 6'5", which is tall. Don't get me wrong, but like for a Power 5 basketball school, like that's not you can't have 4 guys over 6'5". Like that's not. I think this year we have like 7 or 8. So I think it was definitely a concerted effort to get bigger, more athletic.
Yeah.
And
to just be able to compete and have a chance of competing,
and we'll see how right or wrong I am against UConn in that exhibition, but at least we'll have an idea going to the year instead of going in blindly like we normally do.
It's exciting though. You get to look at that exhibition and you're like, hey, can we make this a game to halftime? And like, how's our defense look? And how much do I gotta go gamble on my life after this game at Mohegan Sun?
Oh, so, yeah. It's funny.
That'll be exciting. It'll be fun for fans to go check that out.
Yeah, a couple of the notes before we move on from basketball.
Yeah.
UMass game on the schedule. They've been begging us to come to play them for years and years now.
I know. And, why did we say no forever, by the way?
What do you say?
Why did we say no forever? I never understood that.
I don't know. It's some bureaucratic reason that I don't really understand.
Yeah, right. We don't know.
I think we're still in this this Charleston Classic, this MTE with the Utah State Tulane Davidson.
At least it's so kind of sad we're in that, but also at least we could compete though. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think Utah State is typically good in the Mountain West, and we'll see what Davidson looks like.
Yeah.
But I think big picture about this team is we don't know a lot about the team, so why not be positive about the guys they brought in?
It's better than knowing we're gonna be bad, right? So it's
I mean, last year I was dreading going to the season. I mean, I always try to be more bullish than a normal fan about the team, but last year it was really tough. At least this year we have like some stuff to look forward to, which is kind of sad in a way that's just what we're aiming for, but it's just where we're at, honestly. Hey,
it's something to look somewhat positively on, so that's a step in the right direction, I guess. And hope maybe Grant proves us all wrong. We'll see.
Hey, I would welcome that. I would take back my question in last year's press conference a million times to be wrong about that. But so that's hoops. Should we do a brief eulogy for? Yeah,
we'll wrap it up with our eulogy on BC Lax, the women lacrosse team, and baseball. I'll start it off with lacrosse again. I mean, as much as we're down on the end of the year, I mean, again, they had an incredible season, one of the best seasons of any program, and they made it all the way to the Final Four for the 8th time in a row as a program, which is absolutely insane. And they had a chance to go to their 8th national championship game for the for the eighth time in a row, which would be insane. So for the first time ever, they lost that game. And I think the biggest negative thing isn't that they lost against Northwestern, which has been their biggest arch rival the last couple of years and is just as good of a program in women's lacrosse. But it's the way they lost, obviously, Jack. I mean, it was a 6-goal lead. I think it was 11-5 at one point, and then Northwestern comes back, and we go scoreless in the fourth quarter. Northwestern comes back to not only tie it, but then to go ahead, and then that was the end of it. And it was just an ultimate collapse. And kind of similarly, which is funny, in the national championship against Northwestern the previous year, BC was down 6-0 and came back to win the national championship.
Yeah.
And so
I had that thought early when we took that lead. I was like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, wouldn't it be
felt
poetic?
So yeah, you
I didn't say it out loud, but yeah, that was so tough.
Yeah, tough one, really tough loss, probably the toughest loss in program history there. And they've had some tough losses, but that being, again, having that lead and feeling so comfortable about it going into the fourth was a tough one to taste for the women athletes. But again, great year, tough loss, and it was an extra tough weekend for BC fans because BC baseball went on an incredible run going into the ACC tournament. And they also had the lead, and their starting pitcher, went 7 innings scoreless, and then they blew that lead as well. So it was tough blowing of leads over the weekend for the Eagles. It was previous weekend ago. So
yeah,
but yeah, that was kind of the sadness that we experienced last.
Yeah, it's the classic like BC mini run in the postseason where it's like with basketball we get it. We've gotten it with Earl a few times where you win a game or two and you feel good, but the only reason you won that first game is because you're in the bottom third of the conference.
But some other crappy team, yeah.
Shout out to AJ Colarusso. I mean, he pitched in that first game. I think he threw like 80 pitches, 75 pitches. Came back 3 days later, pitched threw like 108 or something. Like crazy.
Absolutely insane.
And then it was 2-0 when he left the game in the seventh, and they would lose 7-2. It's just so brutal.
The cool thing was that they got, I think it was Notre Dame and another team that by winning those 2 games, they kind of knocked them out of the tournament. So that was
at least you get that. I mean, BC basketball knocked Wake Forest out of the tournament 2 years in a row. Yeah, it's a fun little BC tradition to
take something out of it.
Create some create a little chaos.
Yeah.
But yeah. Should we run through these questions?
So we put out.
We got a few mail. We got a few.
Technically, our mailbox or our mailbag episode, but we don't have too much mail this week.
Yeah.
But holiday week. The mail.
No, you know what? Yeah, mail runs slow on this week. Doesn't run on Monday, but we had first one. Yeah, I'll read them out. You wanna answer them?
Yeah. Let's go into it.
Okay, first one from CJ Geronda, classic. Gun to your head. Does BC break through the 7-win ceiling this year? Meaning, does BC win 8 or more games? I'll answer right now, CJ. Gun to my head, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If I had to put my life on the line for this, I don't think so. I mean, we walked through the schedule earlier. If they win 8 games, that's extremely impressive, and I hope they do it. But I think they're gonna be fighting for 7 and 5. I think.
If guns to my head and my life savings on the line and any of those things, I'm not going to bet for BC to win more than 7 games.
I would bet. I would bet the opposite.
Yeah,
they win 7 or fewer.
I'm saying 7 or fewer, and it's not one reason. There's so many reasons. Not only that the schedule we just went down, Jack, but the fact that we haven't done this in like 15 years. We have not won 8 games in like over 15 years. So. Yeah. Why would I pick the year where we have one of the toughest schedules ever, even though as much as belief I have in Bill O'Brien to do it? And if I'm wrong, then I hedged my bets. But that's yeah.
I think if he put the lines over 6, it'd be a much tougher decision for me. And I think I'd still take the under on. I think it's more likely to go 6 or fewer than 7 or more. Frankly,
honestly, it's more likely that we win 6 games than 7 games, probably.
Yeah, but I think 7 games is certainly in the cards.
For sure.
Maybe like 5-0 start is certainly in the cards, and who knows between UConn, Syracuse, Georgia Tech, Louisville, who knows who we went against. I just think 8. It's like I think it's certainly possible to win 8 games depending on how the season rolls out. Like maybe Dylan Larkin's incredible.
That's the thing.
Maybe
Sitting from the seat right now, that it seems like a definite no. But again, maybe he announces, Lonergan as a starter or whoever at the starter, and he has an amazing summer. And then in the summer, we're looking at this like, man, they're really looking momentum here. They blow off they have a solid win against Michigan State, and then you're looking at this in a completely different light. But until we see any of those things, you're looking at this like we still don't even know who the quarterback is. I'm not going to pick us to win 8 games.
Yeah, true. All right, next one. From close friend of ours, BCU Blake James. Who wins in a fight? So I think we're the only 2 that showed up to this podcast episode. So I think it'll just be between us. I'm assuming I'm going to be civil. I'm going to say it's not a fight to the death, just boxing match, street fight kind of deal.
Yeah.
I don't like my chances against you.
I feel like it's not fair because I think I have definitely more weight on Jack, and I think. But the thing is,
Mac, I've never seen you in person. I've never seen you in
10
person.
years older. Wait, what is your height, Jack?
I'm 5'11", 160.
Oh, so wait, you're way taller than me though.
How tall are you?
I'm only 5'8".
Okay, that's not way too. I mean,
you're taller. I'm probably way heavier, but I think you're like at least 5-6 years younger than me. So
yeah, I'm 24. How old are you? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but
I'm 32.
Okay, yeah.
I'm taking.
I would I put the odds at like minus. You had like minus 225.
I think Jack's probably. Did you do any like boxing or anything?
I've never gotten in a fight in my life. Hand up.
I've only been in like a couple fights in my life. So
that's a couple more than I have. So I think you'd be the favorite then.
Okay.
BCU Blake James, thank you for the question. I quote tweeted our podcast one. I got a bunch while we were recording. Most of them from Eagle East at BC Rising 15.
Nice.
I don't know if you recognize that name, but you definitely recognize the account. I'll go from the
BC burner community in here finally. All right, let's go.
Okay, number 1. So he asked like 8 different things. So thank you, Eagle East. Thoughts about whether or not Father Jack will inject energy into athletics and make it more of a priority, especially hoops. So number 1, I think this is not the same question. I think he will inject energy into athletics, and I think it will likely be at the expense of basketball. If I had to guess, I think he's gonna. I've been into a bunch of his like the masses of the services he puts on for the athletes. He's a football guy. He's gonna want a good football team.
He's definitely football guy.
He's definitely gonna inject energy into athletics, i.e. football, I think. And in terms of especially hoops, I don't think he's going to necessarily make that more of a priority. I think he's going to, probably leave it where it is now, if not try to shift more resources to football, given the state of the football team versus the basketball team. But that's where I'm kind of at. I think it's kind of 2 different questions that Eagle East is asking there. But yeah, I think Father Jack will largely be a good thing for BC athletics. I
agree with you. Yeah. Like same thing. It's Father Jack. I definitely got to bring more energy. Definitely got to bring more funding, and focus on BC athletics. And how significant that will be, I think it will be significant based off of what Father Leahy historically has done. It'll translate into football. Now, the one thing I will say, Jack, I think he will focus on football. He's a football guy, but I think there's a chance that it does trickle down into basketball because
I hope so.
Because of the return on the investment there. So that's the hope. You'll kind of hope that SEC model kind of happens in the BC.
Trickle down economics.
Yeah, trickle down economics.
Hopefully works in sports better than
in real life.
But
we'll hope that that's the case. But yeah.
No, I agree. Like maybe not in the short term, like the next 2 years, but hopefully if you can turn BC football into a consistent 8-win team.
And I think and the only reason I say that too is I think just because he is a sports guy and he's so involved in athletics that he understands more than Leahy that without football, like football and basketball are the brand. of your school. Like when Flutie won, like the amount of people that applied to BC like skyrocketed, right?
Yeah.
And like when
They
BC
made a name for it.
they made a name, there's a national
The
brand
Flutie
there.
effect. Yeah.
The Flutie effect. And the same thing with basketball, though. It's like those two programs need to be good. Like when your team gets into March Madness, that's free advertisement for your school and your national brand too. So like I think he understands that more than Leahy, that is a big deal. So that basketball program, I can't just fully ignore that. That needs to be somewhat of a priority. And
Yeah,
as much as football
that's
will
true.
be
That's
more,
fair.
I think he's got a better understanding of that. So it's not going to be worse than what it is, if that's the thing.
Oh, it can't get much worse than last year.
How much better it gets is the question, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of that, I think it's more likely we see like rapid improvements in rapid meaning turning BC into like an consistent 8-win team.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely we see that than BC basketball turning into like a consistent NCAA qualifier.
Right.
So I think that's a fair answer. Eagle East is the second question. Who is everyone's favorite BC burner? So by everyone, I guess he means you and me. Eagle East, since you asked 7 questions to this mailbag, I will say you are my favorite burner.
Yeah, for Eagles, you're our Eagles weekly fave right now.
Yes. I some other ones I'll shout out. I do love Velvet Milkman. Shout out to Velvet Milkman.
I love it.
I love his. He goes viral every couple of weeks, which I appreciate.
I love the burner community going viral pretty much every week.
Yeah, I love when that happens. I do like Brightman Bateman. I don't know who he is, but he's very much into basketball the same way I am. So shout out to Brightman Bateman. He also, I think, is friends with Steven Jackson, the runner, who's my former teammate. So I think there's a bit of a connection there. Not 100% sure, but I say those are my top 2 that I appreciate. Do you have any others you want to shout out?
Like the classics. Like I love Cityside. I love his.
Cityside, Marty. Yeah.
Obviously Marty's great. The OGs. So you
gotta respect the elders.
You gotta respect the game. You gotta respect the elders, and I think our community is strong and well. I think we're just waiting for something to. I mean, it's a tough. I think it's like 92, 93 days till kickoff. So we're gonna be kind of trying to find things to talk about for.
No, exactly. Which is why I appreciate all of these questions.
Yeah.
Number 3 from Eagle East. How does BC bring hoops back to respectability? I don't know. I don't know.
That's a tough one.
It
kind of goes like the first one. It's like
we should have done an episode for each of these questions rather than answering them in 3-5 minutes.
We kind of already answered that one though with the first question. It's like
hopefully you get the trickle down.
Gonna be football. I don't know.
Okay. Next one from Eagle East. Thank you, Eagle East. Thoughts on having at CF Budge on the show and asking him about his disdain for BC football. So, do you know who CF Budge is?
Yeah. He's actually. I feel like he's a pretty good guy, to be honest. Like I feel. Like
I mean, he makes good content.
I know he uses the BC hate to kind of like get views and clicks and stuff, which a lot of.
Yeah, which is a weird way to get clicks because I feel like
very bizarre. Because like even on TikTok,
more people are.
They all know
it's
BC part of his brand.
BC,
everyone knows that he hates BC. It's like kind of bizarre. I'd be happy to have anyone on this podcast. I would be if CF Budge is listening.
Yeah, he's not on the top of my list. I'll be honest.
Definitely not on the top of my list.
If he wants to come on, he can come on.
We got some other. Do we have some other haters? Do we have other haters, Jack, besides CF
on Twitter? I don't know.
Jack Mack, was it Jack Mack that kind of had?
Oh yeah, he's a casual BC hater. He's just like a UConn guy, I think.
He's like a UConn guy that didn't want to UConn, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, he went to Fordham. He did not go to UConn, actually. And he has been very vocal in his support for Bonnie Blue, the actress.
I saw that.
I
saw that from our burn.
He's very taken aback by her natural beauty. He made that very known. I don't really care.
His alma mater's chances, game 1 though. So
I don't really care to have him on either. If he came on, he brings a huge following, so maybe I would take it, but I don't really.
Yeah.
I'm not his biggest fan. I'll just
I'm
leave it
not.
at that. Okay, so breaking the Eagle East trend, we have Johnny Elrod, who was my class at BC. Shout out to Johnny. Any breakout candidates at wide receiver this year?
Oh yeah.
You want to take this one?
Well, you got. I'll say there's breakouts within the BC. I say within the BC unit, which would be like VJ Wilkins, which would be a big one that people are talking about. My biggest thing I think that people are going to be surprised by this year, besides Lewis Bond and besides the Reed Harris, those are the two that obviously are going to be good and solid throughout the year. But people forget about Jaden Skeet, and Jaden Skeet got injured last year. But I remember going into the summer last year, after summer practices into the fall, thinking, man, Skeet's going to be such a dynamic playmaker for the Eagles, and especially in the the mid passes and to the out routes and to the sideline passes. And then he got injured. So he had another good spring this year, and he was out there playing a lot. And I think he might be someone that kind of starts to be a more consistent, threat in the wide receiver group. So I'd say Dane Ski, and then obviously I think VJ Wilkins has been the talk of spring ball, and I think you're going to see some exciting things from him.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. I was gonna say VJ Rocket Wilkins, as he goes by. I think he has a good chance to, be like a fun kickoff guy. Getting like the receiver rotation. You did steal mine with Jaden Skeet. I do think I think he showed flashes towards the end of his freshman year, and I think if he becomes like the wide receiver 3 or even 2 this year, I wouldn't be totally surprised. I think
he's got that fast twitch movement stuff.
He's fast twitch. He's got good size. So Jaden Skeet, definitely. I did also. I remember him from. I'm trying to pull him up. I don't know if he's still on the roster, honestly.
I got the roster here, Jack. If you
want. Is Cedric Lott still on the team?
I believe. Wait.
Yeah, he is. Cedric Lott. I remember when he took an official visit in 23 and committed. He's 6'5". He's a 6'5", big receiver. I think he's class of 24, so he's a freshman last year. He might have redshirted. Just big receiver. He also, the reason I took notice in him is he ran track in high school, and he's a very good track athlete. And I think he's also on the basketball team. He's a really well-rounded athlete. I think he has the potential to be, like a really good jump ball guy, downfield guy, jump ball guy in the Reed Harris mold. He hasn't played a snap for BC this year, and I didn't even know if he's on the team. So
he's a freshman redshirt, and he's
I like if he pops in summer, I would be bullish on him. So
no, good call out, Jack, because he was playing. He was getting some snaps on I believe some of the teams on spring practice, and a redshirt freshman, but he's 6'5", and he's big. And something that I think Reed Harris did really good last year was that, like, the end zone, red zone stuff. Like, he could be another red zone threat where which BC really typically has never had before Reed Harris. Someone that could just go up and jump and get it.
That's what I thought. That's why I thought Duran Bradley was going to be last year, and he did it.
We all did. Yeah,
he did it one time against Mizzou and just never did it again. But yeah, I could see him being that this year. So I think Skeet Wilkins, my guy. I'm claiming as my guy now. Cedric Lott.
And just one quick thing, who technically isn't a wide receiver but will be a factor in the passing game. I think Ty Lockwood is going to be like.
Good call.
I think he's the real deal. Real deal. So
him and Jeremiah Franklin will be good.
Yeah, Franklin, so underrated.
The 1-2 punch at tight end. All right, next we go back to Eagle East. Record prediction for BC football.
We kind of went into that.
Yeah, 7-5 is my. I think that's my prediction.
5, I think, would be.
I can't say 8-4. I just can't make myself do it. 7-5 feels optimistic too. But I'm just gonna.
It seems like 7-5 and take 1 maybe, or take 2.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Who will emerge as a starting running back this year for football?
Oh
God.
God.
First.
So we got
Is it
so
good?
many great running backs. This running back group is like crazy good. You got Alex Broom returning. Obviously, you have Turbo Richard. I think Turbo's to me is the number one guy. I think he's going to be get the significant amount of snaps. But again, there's so much depth there. Like
Mhm.
I really don't even know. Like I don't know what to kind of make of it really. So my guy would be Turbo. But again, the amount of depth on running back is huge. Where you actually have even two other freshmen coming in. You have Bo McCormick, who broke all the records in Massachusetts last year. Like he's coming in as a true freshman, and I don't even know if they're going to redshirt him because he's a guy that could make significant impact at running back. I mean, people are like talking about him like he's like, the next big thing. So I would say Turbo as the obvious choice, but I don't know who do you think, Jack? There's a bunch
I mean,
of
I think Turbo too.
I mean, Dartrell Jones.
I think he showed enough last year that I think he's clearly the best option returning. And honestly, he was getting more touches than Trayshawn Ward was in the last year, behind Kai Robichaux. So I think it's got to be him. I don't know if you mentioned him, but I think Jordan McDonald has the potential to be like your bigger back. He's 6'1", 212.
And he's got experience. Yeah,
He's
I
got
love
experience.
him.
He came on as like from being like a practice squad guy to having like 120 yards against Syracuse or something ridiculous like that. So I think he'd be a good like short yardage third down kind of back. And then we have Broom, who missed all last year, coming back.
Right.
So I think starting running back, if I had to pick one, it's gonna be Turbo, but it's gonna be a committee kind of thing between Turbo, Broom, McDonald. Everyone, I mean, they all have their strengths, their weaknesses.
You got McDonald, you got Broom, you got Turbo. I mean, you got Dartrell Jones.
Yeah, true. I didn't even say him.
Then you have the other freshmen coming in. So I would say the one it would be probably Turbo, but the thing is, because you have like Broomback, who's got experience with catching the ball out of the backfield, you might have him like be like a third or fourth down back, and you might, I think, probably have certain down backs because of the depth you have. So that's going to be interesting to kind of see how Bill O'Brien wants to scheme that.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, we got three more here. The last one from Eagle East. What do you guys think about the new hoops transfers? I'll start. I love them. I really like them a lot. Chase Forte, we had him on the pod. Great basketball player. Seems like also a great human being. I love how his identity is defending, but he's also can score at all three levels, at least at South Dakota. But he's going to be like a motherfucker on defense, I think. Jason Asamoah, I'm extremely high on. Like a true 6'8" wing. I think he, like AJ DeBanza, local. If you don't know, he's the number one player in the 2025 class, going to BYU for like $7 million. AJ DeBanza from Brockton, Massachusetts. He's like a 6'8", 6'9" small forward. Jason Asamoah is like kind of cut from that same cloth of like really skinny, tall, lanky, a lot of length, a lot of defensive potential. I think he shot like an average 32% from three or something like that at Baylor in limited minutes. But I think he has a ton of potential at only being going to his sophomore year. Also, we have Bowden Kapke, big, huge center from Butler. He's got Power 5 experience. I'm pretty high on him. I think he'll push Hastings for the starting job. I don't think he'll win it. But I do like him as like a depth piece in the front court because we've lacked depth in the front court for the past like 2-3 seasons now. So it'll be good to have him really shoring up that spot. And then who am I missing? Forte, Asamoah. Oh, Aiden Shaw. He's the first one. I don't know how I forgot him. I love Aiden Shaw. He's tall, kind of skinny, athletic, jumper, plays above the rim. Type of forward that BC hasn't really had. I guess they kind of had in TJ Biggerstaff, but I think Aiden Shaw's way more athletic.
Yeah.
I think he'll push for a starting spot for sure. Depends how they want. If they want to play big, play small. But I think he's going to be, depth in the front court's huge. So yeah, all four guys I really like. I think it's a good mix of Chase Forte, coming up from G5 to power conference basketball. You got like a guy with potential, huge potential in Asamoah. And then you got guys in Kapke and Shaw who are like veteran kind of presences at the power conference level. So all four I really love. And I think between the four of them, like 2 or 3 will definitely have great years. It just depends too. But yeah, I love the hoops transfer class.
I think what I'm excited about is that there's a good amount of transfers, and like you get worried about transfers when you have a good team, but like we didn't have a good team, so it's good that we have some new guys coming in. I would just shout out again Chase Forte. Go check out our episode 25 because we had him on, and
great guest.
Great guest, and he just talks about what I think the thing that we've been missing, which is defense and intensity, and the thing that Earl Grant likes to talk about all the time, which is gritty, not pretty, which has been lacking. He actually seems to be well focused on being actually gritty and like bringing that heart back into the team, which, you know, I think for fans, that's the biggest thing. It's like there's one thing to lose games, but it's like when you see them lose and you're not putting heart into it, and like towards the end of the game, they're not making those plays that matter. That's the stuff that we want to see back in BC basketball. And I think we talked to Chase Forte, you could feel that need and sense of urgency from him.
Yeah, he's cut from the Jay-Z mold. I mean, it's a tough player to live up to in what he did for 3 years at BC, but I think he's certainly got the talent, the size, the mindset to be that way. And I think just speaking in general for the class, it feels like Earl picked this class more so than they picked him. I think each guy that committed here serves a real purpose for the team, rather than last year you had Deion Brown and Josh Beadle and all these guys kind of like a very crowded guard room.
Yeah.
And I think this year it seems more purposeful in the transfer portal. So yeah, I'm high on them, and I think it's why I'm looking forward to October 13th against UConn.
Sweet.
All right, so we got 2 more from Andrew T. If you're in charge of recruiting to local talent, I assume he's talking about football, what would your pitch be to commit?
Local talent. I mean, I think you gotta basically say, hey, we're the only Power 4 school in New England. So when you talk about building that wall, Boston College is the only Power 5 school. And if you're probably talking to the top programs in New England, they're usually like a lot of them are Catholic programs, but your Catholic Power 4 program besides Notre Dame as well. And we're on the East Coast. You got Boston right there, 25 minutes away, and you have one of the best educations, one of the toughest schools to get into. So there you go. It's like we're the Power 4 in the region. You got Boston right there, and you got one of the best educations. I mean, you can go into the NIL stuff, but I think what Bill O'Brien's been doing is basically every time I brought this stuff up is talk about those 3 things. And you're talking about, the loyalty to the region, the access to the city, everything that comes with that, whether that's social or professional, and then the beautiful campus that Boston College sits on and the incredible education you're going to get. So those 3 things are everything. Obviously, money talks, and BC's done a great job setting up that tier system there. But at the end of the day, the guys, and I want to say this, really, I think this is a big deal. Boston College has never lost anyone in the transfer portal yet that they wanted to keep. So they're doing the right thing with who they're bringing into this program. So like you look at all the guys that have left this program, especially under Bill O'Brien, the only guys are people that just want a better playing time. Every guy that we've had to keep, whether it goes all the way back to Christian Mahogany or Zay Flowers, they've been able to dish out the money that when they need to and keep them here. So when you preach about you're coming here for a good education and you're bringing in loyal guys, that's the number one thing that you're looking for. And I think Bill O'Brien understands that. We're not looking for the guy that's just wanting to come here to make bank. We're wanting a guy that really values having a good Catholic education and is coming here and is going to stay loyal to the program. And if he performs, is going to get paid as well. That's the number one thing.
You sold me, Mac. I'm ready to commit right now. I mean, I don't have anything to add. I think I'd say from a football standpoint, this is like a professional staff with NFL experience. BC always punches above its weight class in terms of getting guys to the NFL. So if you want to,
NFL things
if you want to go to the NFL, go to BC. Only power conference team in the region. I point to like you said, guys like Mahogany, Flowers, who could have gone to, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, probably.
Zaraku got like
Ezeraku, totally chose to stay. And you got the education portion, which kind of speaks for itself. So I think, so I think that is the pitch. I think it should be the pitch. But yeah,
good question.
Last one from Pat Craft Burner. Simple one. Dylan or Grayson James?
Oh well. I love it, fans. I love the putting everyone on the spot here.
Yeah.
I've already said that I think Lonergan's winning the competition right now.
Yeah.
But that's again a very personal opinion based off limited knowledge and limited things that I've seen in practice. But I was able to go to practice, and I was able to view these things. I would say more than my opinion, even though it leans Dylan Lonergan, is you guys have to have faith with whatever Bill O'Brien picks, because at the end of the day, his scheme and his everything that he's trying to form, he's not just even looking. Obviously, he's looking number one to win this year, but he's also looking to develop these players. So that's another reason why I might even lean a little more to Dylan Lonergan. But I would say whatever Bill's going to pick is going to be the right answer for this, because he's going to completely prioritize winning this year. And then the second thing is going to be developing this program so it can be an 8-win or more program. So that's, I think, all I got to say on that.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to say Grayson. I mean, given the fact that he came in to the starting role in such a tough circumstance last year, chose to stay with the program, performed well he's one of the, against power competition, was like one of the best QBRs or whatever it was in the country, performed very well. But I think it's gonna be Dylan as well. I feel like people around that have been close to the practices, like you, Kevin Stone, AJ Black, they've really talked about his presence and the way he's adapted to the program or the offense so quickly. And
yeah, it's shocking.
They've people have talked about that in addition to his, like, his arm talent. He's a true high 4-star quarterback recruit. And that just doesn't, to me, I hear that, and then I hear people say, like, oh, it's a toss-up, it's a competition. Like, that doesn't quite feel right to me. Mm-hmm. I think it's less of a competition than people are letting on. Unfortunately for Grayson James, who I'm a huge fan of, Shelby James, don't come at me for this take, please.
Can I just say that we love Shelby, we love Grayson.
Yeah, if you're buying a house in Texas,
yeah,
we're not sponsored by him. If you're buying a house in Texas, Shelby James is your guy. But I think it's going to be.
We love Grayson. We're a homer for Grayson. He's so loyal to his program. He picked up the reins when someone that we can't.
On probably like on the team. 4 days notice.
But and I would be happier than ever if Bill O'Brien picked him, because that means that he is the right guy.
Yeah, but, no, totally. If it ends up being Grayson, then I totally support that decision.
I'll say, like, last year when it's a funny thing when Grayson got the nod to play, I think his first game, I think it was when, I'm trying to think of who it was against. Was it
it was Syracuse. He came in, and then SMU, he was his first start, I think.
Yeah, I think it was against Syracuse, but I just remember looking at the body language of Tommy and how, like, how much he didn't care about the team, and it was all about him. And I just remember looking at Grayson James and how the body language is so different. He was just like hands around teammates and like congratulating teammates after he had just pulled off the like come back from behind win. And, so many great things to say about Grayson. Like, he's an incredible guy. But I just think, when you look at all the context and you hate to go too much into the politics, but, Lonergan is Bill O'Brien's guy. De facto, he recruited him at Alabama. He brought him here to Boston College. He's the first quarterback really that he brought into this program. Yeah. And so you're looking at, and you talk about 4-star and all the tangibles and the upside. He clearly has more talent and upside. than Grayson, at least what people have talked about in context. So that's why you kind of lean more towards that. And then even if I strip all that away, I think just, what I saw in spring practice, the shocking thing that you brought up was his ability to understand the playbook and to show and to perform on the field in spring practice immediately. So that's where we're at. But again, this is going to be the number one thing we talk about probably for until it's announced. For the next 22 days, right?
I will say I think there's something to be said for those leadership qualities that you mentioned with Grayson that he clearly has. He has relationships with the team already with Louis Bond, Reed Harris, Turbo Richard. I mean, like you said, whatever. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the one to make this decision if I'm Bill O'Brien.
That's impossible.
Whatever he decides, I'm going to trust is the right decision because he has way more data than you or me, that any other person that has an opinion on the matter. Yeah. So yeah, I think whatever. I lean Dylan to answer this question, but yeah, I trust whatever Bill ends up doing.
Yeah, same answer. That's where I'm at.
All right, so I think that's the last mailbag question. Let me just refresh.
Hey, that's pretty good.
To make sure that. Yep, that's it. But yeah, so it ended up being a good amount of questions that we got through. So thank you.
Good questions, guys. Thank you.
Eagle East, Johnny Elrod, Andrew T, and one more I got to shout out. Sorry.
Pat.
Eagle East, Johnny Elrod, Andrew T, and Pat Craftburner. Thank you very much. Fun talking ball, and CJ Gironda, NBCU Blake James. So good, good discussion there. So yeah, should we? We said this. We said it was gonna be 45 minutes.
Yeah, we went way over. Mac and Jack show, they tend to go over. We don't know.
Yeah, I get it.
But we'll wrap it up, Jack. Obviously, follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us. Press that little bell thing. Or like the video if you're watching this on YouTube because it helps the YouTube algorithm. You can find me at BC Football Fans on Twitter and Mac_Hutchinson. Jack, what's your handle again?
My handle is at Jack P. My last name Cyberlick. You're never gonna get that spelling right, but just look up Jack P. And if you tweet about BC, I'll probably come up.
Yeah, we'll see Jack there.
So yeah, I tweet about BC and other stuff.
And we both write on eaglesdaily.com, so go check out our work there. We also on Twitter.
I gotta start writing some more.
That's our plan. We'll start. We gotta write some more stuff as we're in this offseason.
Yeah, we should probably figure this out off camera, but we gotta figure out like a schedule or a cadence because I've been slacking lately. You had a huge article about Lax. So
yeah, go check that out. I mean, I still think they're the most underrated program in college sports, BC lacrosse, even though after that heartbreaking loss. But yeah, I did a recap on their last game of the season, as heartbreaking as it was. So yeah, go check out my Lax stuff and my football stuff, and Jack. It's got some good basketball stuff there as well. And then you can find us on Twitter at Eagles Daily BC or Eagles Weekly BC. Yep. Any last words though, Jack, before we wrap it up here?
Nothing really. We're in the true off season of BC sports and college sports. So
it's off season as it gets.
This is as off season as it gets. So I appreciate all the questions that we got. Really stirring conversation, and follow our stuff. We'll write some more, put on the website. But yeah, Jack and Mac show. It's always fun.
All right, Jack and Mac show in the books, episode 26, and go Eagles.
Go Eagles.